Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome back to my channel, my Loverlies. If you've never been here before, I'm so happy you found me. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. I do so hope that you will like and subscribe before you leave. Become part of the Mama family. Mama's got your back, at least where makeup's concerned anyway, and definitely when it comes to drugstore makeup. So today is going to be the very first episode of my new series, and we are going to call it True Love Tuesdays. So I am going to upload a video every Tuesday and I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna do my makeup, and I'm sure that these videos will get better as time progresses and I kind of find my stride. But I don't know about you guys, but I am a definite sucker for a love story. I am a hopeless romantic at heart, and there's so much hate and there's so much bad stuff in the world, and I figured it couldn't hurt. It really couldn't hurt to sit there and talk about love and talk about something wonderful, talk about something to make you smile for a little while. So if you're into love stories, if you're in any way a hopeless romantic, as I am, please stick around. We are going to have so much fun. Of course, this is my first video. I have never really been a big storyteller. So we're going to kind of fumble along through this, and hopefully it's not a complete and total failure. But today we are going to be talking about Sir Lancelot and Queen Guinevere. One of my absolute favorite stories. Just about knights in shining armor, and I don't know. I know it just makes me smile. It makes me happy. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm also going to be doing this super simple eye look, because y'all know once I get to talking and once I get to really invested in what I'm talking about, the makeup just kind of out the window. So I decided to do something very simple and very just kind of easy, so it wouldn't take us 4 years to get this eye look done. This is what she looks like. Even though it's super simple, I am so in love with it. It's so pretty. I have been doing some seriously aggressive eye looks lately, and I love them. I love them so much, but this is just a little bit softer. It's a little bit more just kind of and I thought it was fitting. This is what she looks like. Very pretty. I am in love with this. Also, we're in the month of May, and as you guys know, the month of May is National Mental Health Awareness Month. So I'm going to be doing a lot of green looks this month. I'm going to try to incorporate green in every single eye look that I do. They're not all necessarily going to be full-on green eye looks, but today's eye look is. We're using, you guys know, my baby, BH Cosmetics. We're going to use the Avocado Palette to Avocado Toast palette. This is such a pretty palette. Super affordable, guys. If y'all know anything about what's going on with BH Cosmetics, please let me know in the comments below. I haven't heard any news about them, and I'm starting to get just a little bit worried. I'm hoping that they come back very soon. I need more palettes. I need more makeup. This is what the palette looks like. I used a few shades in here. It's really a very pared down kind of eye look. I went pretty simple with it, but we did use a few of the shadows in here that are all stunning. This shimmer in particular, I have this pretty much all over my eyelid. It's called Haas. Oh my goodness, it is a truly spectacular olive gold color. It is so stunning, highly reflective. I just put it on with a wet brush, and it just kind of glides onto the eye and does everything and more that you want it to do. So let's just get started. Let's get started, shall we? I already have my eyeshadow primer on. I use the same one I always do. I used my Ultimate Shadow and Liner Primer. I love this thing. I'm almost out of it, though. There's just the tiniest bit left in there. So we will be opening a fresh tube of something new very soon. The day that you are seeing this, guys, this is going to be, I'm going to upload this on Tuesday, May 10th. Today is my birthday. Not actually today that I'm filming, but the day that you're seeing this is my birthday. I am now officially 31 years old. I don't know how I feel about that, so we're gonna ignore it. But yes, today is my birthday. So I expect lots of happy birthdays in the comments below. Lots and lots of happy birthdays. So, a little bit of backstory on the whole Lancelot and Guinevere story. So Lancelot is said to have been kind, and as all knights in shining armor are, they're kind and they're true, and they're just like really the epitome of what men are supposed to be, like the female romanticized version of a man, just noble and kind and strong and loyal and just a really, really just all around kind of amazing human being, right? Guinevere is said to have been absolutely beautiful. Of course, she was the queen to King Arthur. He is, the head of the Round Table, the creator of Camelot, just really, just a very, very noble man, a great man. But it is said that he had a lot to deal with, guys. He's a king, right? He's a king. He's got a lot to deal with. He's got to deal with his knights. He's got to deal with his people. He's got to run Camelot. And as most men in power tend to do, they focus more on work and not so much on the woman that waits for them at home. And this is where our story begins. So, Lancelot was King Arthur's most trusted knight. You could even say that he was his best friend, but definitely his most trusted knight. His number one, second in command, for sure. And it is said that the romance between Sir Lancelot and Queen Guinevere started off very, very slowly. Sir Lancelot was completely and utterly just enamored. He was besotted. He was completely just taken aback by Queen Guinevere's beauty. She was a stunning, stunning, stunning woman. So it started off, as most things do, with a very slow and tentative flirtation. It was never meant to be anything more than a flirtation. It's the same thing we do now. You see, even if you're married and you go to work and you flirt, you mess around, it is what it is. It's supposed to be innocent. It's supposed to be a playful, innocent interaction. I'm going to go in with the shade Over Easy first. It's this really beautiful, like, creamy yellow color. And I'm going to take that on a big, fluffy blending brush and just put it all over my transition area. So it started out as a very innocent flirtation and slowly, slowly blossomed into much more. Queen Guinevere was, at first, she ignored Lancelot. Lancelot was definitely the initiator of this romance. Queen Guinevere definitely tried to be a faithful wife, and she truly loved her husband. There was no love lost. Like I said, there was no love lost between Guinevere and Arthur. But what happened was he had other things to do, and she became lonely. And I think when loneliness starts, it's in any relationship, it is an instant downfall. So she became lonely, and she's a beautiful woman. She had spent most of her life being fawned over and being praised for her beauty. And then along comes this man, and he is doing nothing but serenading her and telling her, serenading her and telling her how beautiful she is, and how much he pines for her and yearns for her touch, right? And of course she's flattered. Who wouldn't be flattered? You've got Sir Lancelot. He is the biggest, baddest, he's the biggest, baddest dude in town. He's a prime specimen of a man, right? He's big and he's strong and he can handle, he wins all of these tournaments, and he is just, his prowess is unmatched, right? So she's flattered at first, and then as these things happen and as these things progress, she eventually succumbs, and the two start a very, very torrid love affair. It is said that they were with each other many, many, many times, and what would happen is, Sir Lancelot would stay away from a tournament. Every once in a while, they'd wait till the king went to bed, or there was a tournament or a party or there was a feast, and they would sneak around behind everybody's back and do the dirty. But what happened is one of King Arthur's knights, I think it was Mordred. I have my notes here because I'm really, really terrible at remembering names. Yes, but Sir Gravian and Sir Mordred became suspicious. They became very, very suspicious about how close Sir Lancelot and Lady Guinevere were becoming. So they hatched a plan. Okay, I don't know how to say this name, but one of King Arthur's knights, not Mordred or Gravian, but somebody beforehand, got suspicious and actually confronted both Sir Lancelot and Queen Guinevere in front of the king. And to quell these rumors, Sir Lancelot actually challenged this man to a joust. A joust is pretty much, it's basically like a duel. So they both, if y'all don't know what jousting is, you get on this horse with a big stick and you basically run at each other, and whoever whoever gets knocked off their horse first, wins. Loses. Whoever gets knocked off first loses. So to prove his innocence, both his and Guinevere's innocence, Sir Lancelot took this just one step further and ended up actually beheading this knight that accused them of, infidelity. And so at that point, King Arthur was appeased, and, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Swept under the rug. We're going to forget about it. But then comes along Sir Gravian and Sir Mordred, and they're noticing that both Guinevere and Lancelot are missing at the same time very, very often. So what they do is they gather a troop of men and they bust into Queen Guinevere's bedchambers late at night, and they catch Sir Lancelot and Queen Guinevere in bed together. This is not good. This is not good. So first of all, let's pause the story. This is so pretty. I love how pigmented and creamy this color is. I'm making sure to do a really beautiful, soft, kind of rounded shape. Not blowing it out too big. Just tucking it right up underneath my eyebrow, bringing it all the way in to my inner corner, and keeping the outer edge nice and rounded. I'm using my super big, fat, fluffy brush to do that. I'm going to go in with a slightly smaller, fluffy brush. They're both from the same collection. I'm going to go into the next shade down, and I'm going to go into the shade Avo Toast, this one right here, this really beautiful, bright, vibrant avocado green. And I'm going to put this just a little bit lower down. I love the way that these two shades kind of mix. They look so pretty together. This color on top of the creamy yellow color, it makes the Avo Toast shade even more bright and gives it just a little bit more of a vividness, and they really pair so beautifully together. We're just gonna take this right through the transition area. I'm not bringing it all the way to my inner corner. I'm stopping just short. I want to keep my inner corner nice and bright. So I'm just gonna focus this mostly on my outer corner and through the center of my eye. And I'm just going to take my time and really build that up until I'm happy with the depth and opacity of this shade. And they just worked so well together. These colors just work so well together. It's kind of effortless to just throw them on the eye. I'm not really trying to make this some big blown out kind of eye look. I'm really just building up that transition area color and getting a nice lay down of pigment so I can go in a little bit later and add depth to the outer corner. So they bust in, they find Sir Lancelot and Queen Guinevere in bed together. There's this big mob of men. Imagine being, with your man in bed, thinking that everything is right, with your world, and then this big mob of angry, sword-carrying men just busts in on you and instantly attacks you. Well, Sir Lancelot, being the man that he is and the fighter that he is, he manages to escape. So he escapes and he runs away to his castle, and Queen Guinevere is not as lucky. She is captured and she's basically put on trial. She's taken in front of her husband, King Arthur, and her, this mob of men tell King Arthur what they found her doing, and she is immediately put on trial and immediately found guilty. And she is sentenced to burn at the stake for her crimes for adultery. When Sir Lancelot hears about the fate of his queen, he very valiantly tries to rescue her. It goes better than expected. So, I don't know what it is, but he faced basically an entire city. I think this is what makes the whole tale so very romantic, because he faces an entire army, basically. The entire round table comes out to fight him and try to capture him because, again, he is part of the adultery. He is part of the problem, and he needs to be sentenced for his crimes as well. But what ends up happening is Sir Lancelot barges into Camelot with his sword and basically mows down everybody. He kills several of the Knights of the Round Table, and this is basically what this is the beginning of the downfall of the Round Table. After this, King Arthur basically just was not the same. But he manages to rescue Queen Guinevere. And this is where the story gets very, very, very sad. So he rescues Queen Guinevere, and they run off to his castle, and they hide in his castle. So King Arthur, he's a king after all, and kings don't become kings for no reason. It's because they enjoy their power. And his wife has basically just cheated on him. She has turned him into a cuckold, right? And not only that, but she didn't even pay for her crimes. The man that cuckolded him, it's a term from back then, basically made him look like a jerk, right? So he comes in and he rescues her. So he doesn't get to punish anybody. So he gathers a very, very large group of men, what's left of his round table, and any man able to carry a sword, and they storm Sir Lancelot's castle. They are very unsuccessful, though. Sir Lancelot's castle is very well fortified, and they are unable to break in. So, I'm going in on a smaller brush. This is my Dew Color 12. It is a small detail blender, and I'm going in with the shade Ripe. Right here, really beautiful, kind of like, I want to say just like almost primary green, but not quite primary. There's just a little bit more of something a little bit foresty in the undertone. I'm going to take that color and I'm going to focus it right on my outer corner. And I'm going to bring this through about halfway through my crease. Not taking it super high. The only reason I'm using this color is I want to add just a little bit of depth to the eye and keep everything from looking quite so monotone. I want to add a little bit of dimension. So using circular motions, I'm just going to bring this right through my outer V and about halfway through my crease. I'm going to build that up again until I'm happy with the pigmentation. And then after I've got the product and the pigment laid down, I'm going to go back in with that smaller fluffy brush and just kind of blend everything together, marry everything together. Don't want any harsh edges or lines. Just like that. I'm going to go back into that small detail brush and I'm going to go into the shade Walk, an even deeper green. And I'm going to focus this, again, just on the outer corner, but I'm going to keep it right here in the outer V. I'm not going to bring it through the crease very much at all. I'm just adding even more depth to the outer corner, right in that V shape. And then again, I'll go in with the fluffy blending brush, the smaller fluffy blending brush, and marry all the colors together again. So, they storm Sir Lancelot's castle, but are unsuccessful. And pretty much after that, King Arthur just kind of is over it. He's done. He's lost men. He's over it. He's basically just gonna cut his losses. He's done. He's not gonna bother it anymore. But this is where the story takes an even sadder turn, because instead of Sir Lancelot and Queen Guinevere living together and enjoying their romance and enjoying the love that they have fought so hard for and hurt so many people to, obtain, Queen Guinevere's guilt eats her alive. She can no longer face the fact that she has become this terrible person who has been so selfish and who has let her bad decisions hurt so many people. So she ends up joining a nunnery and becomes a nun, and she lives in the convent until she dies many years later. Sir Lancelot, again, he is divested of his honor. His honor is ruined. His reputation is destroyed. Where he once was this very well known, very well respected pillar of the community, he is now in exile. He's a pariah. Nobody wants anything to do with him. He can't be trusted. He is nothing. He is nothing. He's worked his whole life to build a reputation that no longer means anything. So he spends, unfortunately, the rest of his days locked in his castle. He becomes a hermit and he dies alone. And I think that there is so much to be learned from a story like this, just because passion burns so hot and so bright, but when it's not built on anything real or substantial, it's not sustainable. I think that Lancelot and Guinevere, I believe that their passion burned so hot because it was forbidden. And I think, we all have, felt this way, at least at one point in our lives or another. The forbidden is always so tempting. That thing that you want so badly, but you cannot have. It always makes it that much sweeter when you actually get it right. But somehow that sweetness turns bitter. It turns bitter, and it is I'm trying to think of the word, but it's inevitable. It's inevitable that it's not built on love. It's not built on trust, because you're basically, it's built on a lie. It's built on subterfuge. So what happens is it just is not built to last. So unfortunately, they destroyed this king. They destroyed this city. And in the end, it was for nothing, because nothing lasted. The love didn't even last. Now, this story is not about real people. From what I could gather, this was not about real people. This story was actually written by a Frenchman, and he was what is that word? He was commissioned to write this story by the Madame. Oh goodness gracious! I can't remember names for anything. By the French author requested by his patroness, Marie de Champagne of France in 1170. And he writes the first story that actually was written about Sir Lancelot and Queen Guinevere is very, very different from the version that we know today. Actually, what happens in the original story is Sir Lancelot is not the first person we meet in the story. So as many, as it goes with many stories that were written that long ago, it's very much about evil, good and evil, and magic and things like that. So it was a very whimsical, very just romanticized story. It's still romanticized today, but it was even more so back then. So the original French author wrote that a mysterious evil knight turned up in Camelot one day and had taken many of the villagers prisoner, and said to King Arthur, I want you to send your best knight, and we will fight in the field, and if he wins, I will return my prisoners. But if I win, you will give me your queen. So it is not Sir Lancelot that is sent out to fight this evil mystery man. It is actually a knight by the name of... Oh my goodness, I don't think Sir Gawain. I don't know. So, okay, so somebody is sent out to fight this guy, right? And he loses. He loses quickly, he loses badly, and it's over before it even began. And unfortunately, the queen is lost. So they have to hand over their queen to this very evil, dastardly knight. And so King Arthur is you know, what do I do? What do I do? Our queen is gone. So not Sir Lancelot, but Sir Gawain steps up and said, I'll go get our queen back. So he does. But he is immediately joined by a mysterious young knight who is very, very eager to go help rescue the queen. Well, this mysterious stranger ends up being Sir Lancelot. And he is, in his eagerness to go rescue the queen, he steals a horse and he rides off ahead of Sir Gawain and trying to catch up to this evil knight and get the queen back. But what happens is he ends up riding his knight to death, or not his knight, but riding his horse to death. And so he is bereft. He is left on the side of the road with a dead horse and no way to get to the queen. Well, Sir Gawain catches up to young Lancelot and passes him. And after Sir Gawain passes him, he is passed by along comes a dwarf. And the dwarf then offers Sir Lancelot a ride on the back of his cart. Well, back in those times, if you rode on the back of a cart, it was considered a punishment for criminals. So he had to think hard. He had to think hard about accepting this ride to go rescue the woman that he loves, because by this time, it is known that he is trying to go rescue the queen because he is very, very much in love with her. But he thinks twice about accepting this ride from this dwarf. He eventually does take the ride, and the dwarf is a magical dwarf and somehow knows exactly where this evil stranger has taken the queen and leads both him. They catch up to Sir Gawain. So Sir Gawain follows behind the cart on his horse. And so this dwarf leads them to where the queen is being held captive. Well, what happens is he leads them to this fork in the road. And one fork leads to an underwater bridge, and another fork leads to a bridge made only of a naked sword. So Sir Gawain decides to take the underwater bridge, and Sir Lancelot decides to take the sword bridge. So, needless to say, he encounters many, many different, adversities along the way, but does eventually make it to the castle and bests this evil knight and rescues the queen. Okay, talk and work and talk. So he ends up rescuing the queen. But, I'm going to go take that same teeny tiny blender and I'm going to go into this black shade. It is called Holy Moly. I'm going to take the tiniest bit on my brush and I'm going to pack it right onto the outermost edge of my eyelid, just to add even more depth to what we've got going on there already. Just the tiniest bit. I'm not going to add a ton of it. I just want that little bit of like darkness on the outer corner to really make it seem like we've got some serious depth going on out here, because we do. Again, I'm going to go back into that smaller fluffy blending brush and blend that out. Make everything look nice and blendy, blendy, blendy. I love looks like this. Not only are they super, super easy to do and fairly quick to accomplish, but they're just so smoky and so flattering to any and every eye shape. I just love them so, so much. I'm going to go back into the shade Avocado Toast, which was the lightest green that we used. I'm just going to use that to really marry everything together. One more time. Oh, my baby's here. Somebody outside. And really make sure that's nice and blended. Don't want any any harsh lines or edges. Nothing ever seems as blended on my camera as it does in real life, but hopefully at some point I will be able to invest in better camera equipment and that won't be such a problem anymore. But that is what she looks like. Very, very pretty. I love this kind of gradient that we've got going on. It is so effortless looking and just like, oh, it's just everything. I'm going to take a Q-tip with some eye makeup remover. This is my simple eye makeup remover. I just like to put a little bit on the head of my Q-tip and just clean up that little bit of fallout that we've got going on. I want to keep my edges nice and messy, so I'm not going to bother with the edge too much. Just clean up that fallout that's down there. Anything that might have fallen down onto the eyes. Just like that. And then we're going to take a flat packing brush. This is my BH. This is a BH packing brush. It is a very thin, very stiff, flat packing brush. And we're going to go in to the shade Haas right here. That stunning, stunning olive gold color. And I'm going to start to pack this right onto my eyelid. This is just the most beautiful, beautiful golden olive shimmer. It is so reflective and so opaque. I'm going to take that right up to my crease, but no higher. And I'm going to pack that pretty much over the rest of my open lid space. Really kind of pressing that into the skin and into the eyelid. Just like that. I'm going to take the same brush and then I'm going to go in to the shade Lemon Pepper, which is this one right here. It is still an olivey golden color, but it's a little bit lighter. Not quite so rich. And I'm going to put this right here on the innermost portion of my eyelid, just to create a little bit of a gradient effect. And then I'm going to go back in with that fluffy blender and blend out my crease, just clean up a little bit, just in case you get your shimmer a little bit higher than you wanted to. And that is it. Is it not the most, it is so pretty. I love it so, so much. We're going to add a little bit of black liner. This is my NYX Epic Ink liner, and just in the shade black. This is a beautiful, beautiful brush-tipped liquid liner. And I'm going to do a very, very thin line. Just across the lash line, just to help my lashes look a little bit fuller. And then I'm going to take my e.l.f. No Budge liner stick, again in the shade black, and I'm going to line both of my waterlines. So he finally reaches the castle of this evil stranger, and he bests him. He beats him in battle, and rescues Queen Guinevere. But she refuses him. She scoffs. How dare you hesitate for somehow she knows that he hesitated when that dwarf offered him a ride on the back of his cart. Somehow she knows. And she refuses him. She refuses him. So he still rescues her, and takes them back, takes her back to Camelot. But they do end up being together when someone lies to them and misleads them into thinking, each of them, into thinking that the other is dead, and they realize that life is no longer worth living. I can't talk and do my eyeliner at the same time. It's impossible. But they realize that life is no longer worth living if the other is not there. So that is basically the original story. That is the original story of Sir Lancelot and Queen Guinevere. There's also one more variation, or one more rendition of this story, and it's got to do with Sir Lancelot, and not quite so much Queen Guinevere, but the Lady Elaine. Now, if y'all know anything about the Lady Elaine, she was she has been portrayed many, many different ways, but she is always, always portrayed as an absolutely beautiful, very naive young maiden. Okay, and this is sad. This is one of the saddest kind of portions. Again, can't talk and do my eyeliner at the same time. But this is one of the saddest renditions or consequences of this love affair that I read about today, or researched. Read about during my research. So this story goes that Sir Lancelot and Queen Guinevere are again embroiled in their torrid love affair, and they are together, and everything is going great. And there is, before King Arthur, backstory. So before King Arthur was king, he came into possession of 9 incredible jewels, 9 incredible diamonds, and after he became king, he used these diamonds and these incredible jewels as prizes for a yearly tournament. Now, Sir Lancelot, being Sir Lancelot, is the biggest and baddest knight in all the lands, and for each of the 8 years that the tournament has been hosted, Sir Lancelot has won it. So out of the 9 gems, Sir Lancelot is in possession of 8 of them. Now, Sir Lancelot this is his last year. This is last year. And Sir Lancelot is waiting to come into possession of all 9 gems, and is going to make a gift of them to Queen Guinevere. But for some reason, he decides that he's going to skip this tournament. So he tells King Arthur that his battle wounds are acting up, and there's just no way. I'm going to take a little bit of this NYX Bear With Me cannabis sativa seed oil. It's a lip conditioner. I love this so much, but my lips feel so dry. I gotta put something on them. I love this lip oil though. It feels so good. And like nourishing on the lips, but it's not like heavy or sticky. Oh, it's so good. So he decides he doesn't want anything to do. He doesn't want anything to do with the tournament this year. He's gonna stay, and while King Arthur is out of the way, he's gonna spend some time with his lady. Now, yeah, cause oh my goodness, brain fart. Okay, so he's gonna spend some time with his lady. So the tournament is hosted in Camelot. So King Arthur is on his way. He goes off to Camelot and goes, to host the tournament. Sir Lancelot stays behind. Well, he goes up to Queen Guinevere and says, and she is displeased. She is not happy that he decided to stay behind. She says people are going to talk. People are going to start spreading rumors, and Lord knows we don't need any more rumors. You need to go to the tournament. Well, Sir Lancelot's displeased. He went through all of this to spend some quality time with his lady, and she refuses him. So he asks her, have you gotten tired of me? Am I no longer of any interest to you? And I want to read this to you, because I actually wrote this down because I thought it was so, I just thought it was so like odd for someone to say of their husband. And in this rendition and in this version of the story, there's no love lost between Queen Guinevere and King Arthur. Again, he's busy. He's a king. He's got other things to do, and she is just not important to him at this moment. And she is just kind of over King Arthur. So she says, what does she say? I want to tell you, he cares not for me. For who loves me must have a touch of earth. For who loves me must have a touch of earth. I am yours, not Arthur's. As you know, save by the... Okay, I am yours, not Arthur's. As you know, saved by the bond. The bond she's talking about is marriage. I am only Arthur's in name. You have my heart, you have my soul, you have my body. So this, this appeases him, and he says, okay, well, I'll go to the tournament. If you want me to go, I'll go. But she tells him, we'll go in disguise, so that it makes sense that, oh, well, obviously, miraculously, you're healed, and you can go joust. So she says, go in a disguise, and that way King Arthur will think that, you know, you had a point. There was a point to this. So he, you know, and she says, go in disguise and tell people that you want to win from your own merit and not by the reputation that you have built. Which makes sense. Okay, it's kind of silly, but it makes sense. So that's what he does. He heads out. The next day, he spends one night with Queen Guinevere, and then on the next day, he heads out to go to Camelot and to go win this thing, right? On the way to Camelot, he is again in disguise. Nobody knows that he is Sir Lancelot. And on the way, he stops at, what is the castle's name again? Because Astalot. So he stops at Castle Astalot. Now nobody knows what his name is. He's giving them some. He's not told anybody his name. He's a knight. He doesn't want to lie. So he doesn't tell anybody his name. He just is this mysterious stranger. But you can tell from his horse and from his armor, he's definitely a knight, and he's definitely from court. So he's hosted by the king, or what does he go by? Anyway, he's hosted by the owner of the castle, his two sons, and his two sons are, one of them is Devane. Okay, so the one that Levain. That's the one that you need to know. So he's hosted by the proprietor and his two sons, the younger of which is the older of which, oh my goodness, one of which is Devane, and then his daughter. Now his daughter is known as the Maid of Astalot. She is a beautiful, very sheltered, stunning young lady. She is known as the Maid of Astalot, and she's gorgeous, right? But again, Lancelot only has eyes for Guinevere. That's his true love, or so he thinks. And she instantly is just besotted with Sir Lancelot. Just instantly falls in love with him. You guys know how little girl crushes are. You see this big, hunky, handsome guy, and you instantly think that you're in love. It's a little girl crush. Or so we think at this point. And, of course he's a knight, and he's chivalrous, and has no intention of hurting anyone. So, of course, he's kind to her, because Sir Lancelot is a kind man. So he's kind to her. And, of course, she mistakes his kindness as interest. While she's sitting there and listening to him tell tales of, him being on the battlefield and tournaments and life at court, she just falls deeper and deeper and deeper in love with him until she just has no idea what to do with herself. The sun doesn't rise unless it rises in Sir Lancelot's eyes. I'm going to take an eyelash curler and curl my eyelashes real quick. So the sun doesn't rise unless, it's in Sir Lancelot's, in his face. She must gaze upon his face, for his face is life. And so, because they still don't know his name at this point. They still don't know that this is Lancelot. So, the next morning, he spends one night there, and the next morning continues on his journey to Camelot. Well, they have a coat of arms. Knights had a coat of arms. It's kind of like tartans for Scottish people. It was their mark. And on his shield was his big coat of arms. And people know that, and knowing that, well, they're going to know exactly who I am because everybody knows what my armor looks like. He entrusts Lady Elaine with his shield and borrows one from her father. And she says, well, to complete your disguise, please wear my favor. So a favor is like a lock of hair or a piece of cloth. Something that the knight would wear on them during battle to keep them safe and protect them. This is an honor Sir Lancelot had never given to any woman. He had never worn another lady's favor, not even Queen Guinevere's. But she says it will complete your disguise because, again, Sir Lancelot never wears anyone's favor. And this mysterious stranger, to even make it, he's wearing someone's favor. It couldn't be Sir Lancelot. He doesn't do that. So he accepts her favor. And this is just like the nail in the coffin for her. Because she's like, yes, he took my favor. He's going to wear it in battle. I'm going to be there with him. Essentially, I'm going to protect him. This is true love. He goes on to the joust, and of course, because he's Sir Lancelot, he wins. Guys, he just completely and totally just dominates the whole thing, and people are are angry. Who is this stranger that he thinks that he can come in here and steal Sir Lancelot's, spotlight? A lot of talking, sorry. Who does he think he is that he can come in here and steal Sir Lancelot's spotlight? So right before the last joust of the tournament, a group of Sir Lancelot's family and friends jump him, thinking that he's a stranger and not actually Sir Lancelot. They jump him and they wound him. They wound him badly. He is still able to get up, and he perseveres, and he goes on to fight in the last joust, ride in the last joust, and he wins, of course. So at the end of the joust, he stands in the field, and he is presented with the last jewel, this big giant diamond, which is the prize for the 9th tournament. Sir Lancelot says, there is no prize for me but death. Death is my victory. He refuses the diamond and flees the field. Now he flees the field with Lavaine. So that is again Lady Elaine's brother. By this point, Lavaine knows that this is indeed Sir Lancelot, not just some stranger. So they both flee the field, and they flee to a hermit's cave where they try to nurse Sir Lancelot back to health. Well, the king is very, very upset. King Arthur is very, very upset. How dare this man not accept this prize? So he sends one of his knights after Sir Lancelot to find him and award him this big giant diamond. Well, in his search to try to find Lancelot, he comes upon Lancelot and the Lady Elaine. And she informs him that it was indeed Sir Lancelot, and he sees that she has his shield. So he leaves the diamond with Lady Elaine and continues back on to the castle and, informs the king of what he found. The king is very, very upset because indeed this knight did not carry out his wishes. The king wanted him to find this knight and hand him this diamond. So he gets in trouble. And he is a very malicious man. And in order to, because by this point he knows that he's in trouble because Lancelot played this big giant game and so on and so forth. And though he can't get back at Lancelot because he can't find Lancelot, he can torment the queen. So he begins to tell tales of how Lancelot fought on the battlefield, and not only did he fight on the battlefield and get terribly wounded, but he also wore another lady's favor in his helmet. Now this pisses the queen off big time because this is her love, right? This is her man. How dare he wear someone else's favor? And then not only that, but it hurts her pride. She's a very vain in the story. She's a very vain, prideful woman. And how dare he, first of all, cheat on her, but and make her look like a fool because everybody is suspicious. Everybody but King Arthur is suspicious and pretty much knows that her and Lancelot are a thing. How dare he? How dare he make her look like a fool? So she's super, super upset. But the very pure, very sweet, very naive Lady Elaine has been told that Sir Lancelot was wounded on the battlefield and he's missing. So she sets out with her other brother to go find Lancelot. Now, she finds him in the cave very close to Camelot. So he didn't make it very far from Camelot and the battlefield before his wounds became so bad that he just couldn't go on any further. And at this time it's been a while since he's gone missing, and he's been laid up in this cave, and now his wound is infected and he's very, very near death. In comes the Lady Elaine, and she spends weeks and months taking this man and holding him in her arms and nursing him, willing him back to good health. And she's successful. She is indeed successful, and she is able to make him better. She is able to heal him, in fact. And so he's got to go back to his life. He's okay. He's all better. It's time to go. It's time to rejoin the world. So they make their way back to Lancelot to retrieve his diamond and his shield. And when they get back to Lancelot, Lady Elaine informs Lancelot that she is madly, deeply, hopelessly in love with him and that she cannot go on without him. Now, Lancelot has indeed, over this time that she has been helping him and healing him, he has indeed grown very, very fond of her, but looks on her as a younger sister or a very, very dear friend. Again, his heart belongs to Guinevere. So she's broken. He leaves. He tries to let her down gently. He's not malicious or, intentionally hurtful, but his heart's just not in it. And he does indeed leave her and goes back to the castle and to Lady Guinevere. After he leaves, instantly Lady Elaine becomes ill, and she refuses to eat. She refuses to move. She refuses to leave her room. She is indeed irrevocably heartbroken. She has lost her will to live, and she does indeed die days later. It didn't take her very long to fade away to nothing. She actually died of starvation. She refused to eat or drink. She let herself go, and she left very, very strict instructions with her family about how she was to be buried. After Sir Lancelot gets back to the castle and is greeted by all of his friends, and everybody is happy that he is home safe and well. Days after he gets back, he is finally granted an audience with the queen, and he presents her with the last, final, and largest diamond. She is still very, very perturbed. She thinks that this man has been cheating on her. She still can't get over the fact that he wore some other person's favor in his helmet. Even though he's telling her that it was for nothing but the disguise. The lady meant nothing to him. The Lady Elaine meant nothing to him. She doesn't buy it. So she takes this stone, this big giant diamond, and she throws it out the window and into the river below. As he tries to go and catch this diamond and reaches out the window, he notices a boat floating by. And on this boat is the lady of a young woman. It's all draped in black, and it's very, very odd. Like, what is going on? So obviously someone has died. It's a funeral boat. It's a funeral procession. So he races outside where everyone has gathered. Everyone has gathered to come look at this very odd black cloaked boat that is floating by the castle and has pulled up to the dock at the castle. And as he reaches the boat and sees that it is indeed the Lady Elaine, King Arthur reaches into her cold dead hands, and she's gripping this letter. She's gripping this letter in her hands. So King Arthur reaches for the letter, and he opens this letter, and he reads this letter aloud to everyone. I want to read this letter to you because it's so heartbreaking. I wrote it down. So this was Elaine's letter. It says, "My most noble lord, Sir Lancelot of the Lake, I, the maid of Astolat, come, for you left me, taking no farewell. Hither to take my last farewell of you. I loved you, and my love had no return, and therefore my true love has become my death. And therefore to our Lady Guinevere, and to all other ladies, I make moan. Pray for my soul, and make me burial. Pray for my soul, thou too, Sir Lancelot, as thou art a knight peerless." She's still praising him in her death letter. She is still telling him that he is above all others. There is no one to match him. And she doesn't even sound angry. She's just sad. "You broke my heart. You left me. You didn't care. And now you must bury me. Now you must bury me, knowing that you are the reason that I died. I basically died of a broken heart." And I thought, it's a classic tale of unrequited love, and I just felt like it was so heartbreaking. How many of us have experienced a crush or a love like that, where we were just so desperately, madly, deeply in love with someone, and they just didn't want anything to do with us? I know personally I have been there, and it is heartbreaking. I can so totally feel for the Lady Elaine. I can so totally feel her heartbreak and her suffering. And the fact that she was so pure and so naive, and the fact that she wasn't even mad. She just, I don't know. I thought it was so heartbreaking, and I truly, truly felt for her. I think that was the part of the story that I felt resonated with me the most. Anyway, guys, this is our eye look. That was our story. This is what the eye look looks like. I just took, for a finishing touch, I took the shade Avocado. A super, super cute shade. The lightest shimmer shade in the palette. I just took that on my little pencil brush here and put that on my inner corner. And up on my brow bone, just a little bit to bring a little bit more light to the party. I'm going to take that teeny tiny crease brush that we used. I'm going to dip back into that lightest shade, Avocado Toast. I'm going to bring that underneath my eye just a little bit and kind of buff that out and fluff that out just a touch. I'm going to bring that all the way to my inner corner. And then I'm going to take a smaller detail brush. This is another Dew Color brush, but it doesn't have a number. It is just a teeny tiny little flat brush. And I'm going to go into the shade Guac and bring this right on my lash line, a little better than halfway through the eye, and kind of taper it off into the waterline, just like that. Go back in to that teeny tiny detail brush and marry everything together. One more time. And then I will take my Q-tip and I'll clean out a little bit of this fallout down here. Definitely going to pair this with a nude lip. I think I'm going to go matte. I think I'm probably going to use one of my Milani lipsticks. I'll probably use the shade Pleasure with my Downtown Beauty lip liner. And I will always, of course, post the finished pics both on my Instagram and my Facebook page. Guys, the link to my Facebook page will be in the description box below, along with everything that I used in today's video. And the my Instagram handle tag, it'll be down there too. Guys, I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you guys thought. Let me know if there's any way that I can improve this in any way. Any and all suggestions are definitely welcomed. As always, no filters, no edits, no fancy lighting. It's just me sitting in front of my camera, talking about love stories and playing with makeup. Hoping you guys are enjoying what I'm doing. Until next time, my loves, I love you so very much. Please don't forget to like and subscribe before you leave. Stay safe, take care of yourselves, and remember, you're important. Bye.